I want to one day talk about game ideas that I've had. I actually thought about one today that I thought would be really cool, and it's actually sports associated with sports, and it's kind of mixed up with Dark Souls a little bit.
Dude, Dark Souls basketball, you're running down the court. If the opponent steals the ball, they get to cut your legs off. I think that's how it works.
Well, I don't care if a developer hears my ideas and then makes them. I just want to see the ideas done. I have no interest in wanting to make money off of it. I just want to see it in a video game so I can play it. So my idea is to basically design boss fights around sports and their mechanics. Like you can have a goal sticking out of a glob of a boss or a robot, a giant fish, and you have to. It's not like it's going to be a simple game either. You got to use precision to get that
So like
basket.
they're all armored. They can't be affected by any of your bullets, your arrows, whatnot. But there is a small ball in the room that has some sort of explosive property or whatever,
Yeah,
and you have to be able to kick that ball into this goal that's off the ground. And okay, I could see
yeah.
that.
It sounds silly, but I feel like with with a lot of creative design, it could work really well. And plus, whenever you pick up, you get to have different kind of sports tools too, like a baseball bat, which I think would require the most skill because maybe the boss will have holes in his design where you have to
Mm.
nail it just right to get significant damage. Also, soccer perhaps.
I could see that working, but only if there was like a trajectory line
Yeah,
for the baseball, because outside of that, that would just become a guessing game
yeah,
of, well, I sure hope this one goes in.
yeah.
You'd
Exactly.
have to have like a bit of a weird to aim trajectory line
Mm-hmm.
so that it, donk, and then you at least have an idea of where the ball is going. So you're not just trying to guess for 10 minutes before you get the first one in. You're like, okay, cool. Now you got to do that five more times and I beat the boss. Easy peasy.
And also the music will also change beat and tempo with depending on which sports tool you grab. Like once you grab the basketball, it's like do 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 do, and then when you grab a
Oh yeah,
baseball bat,
having
dun 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 dun
instrumentation.
dun 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 dun.
I could actually see that. That would be a really interesting. I mean, the closest thing to what you suggested that I can think of is if you Super Giant Games, they're the people that made Hades, they've done Bastion.
Mm-hmm.
They made a game called Pyre where
Fire.
you play 3v3 basketball, and as you win a bunch of games and whatnot, and you make your team and they level up in certain basketball skills. But at the end of every tour, campaign, tournament, whatever, one of them gets to ascend to the afterlife, and then you have to start making like these sort of personal moral choices of like, okay, do I send the rookie who just got on the team and maybe passed the ball and like made one goal all season, or do I send away my guy who's been with me for 4 seasons, has like 100 3 pointers and this and that, and he's done all this stuff, who very much deserves the afterlife.
Hmm.
um so interesting little title there.
Okay. I would also like to have level design associated with the sport tools also. Maybe just kind of like how High in Life worked, wherever you had to shoot certain, you had to use your weapons to shoot certain platform um, parts in order for you to get across. So perhaps maybe if you nailed the basketball, and this would have to be varied really well. That way, it doesn't get old after a while. Because if you kind of just have the same thing, you're like, oh crap, I gotta throw the basketball in the goal again just to get across this gap. I'm like, no, you would have definitely had to change it. It would have to be. It's definitely a concept that had to be handled extremely well in order for it not to feel old after a while.
Yeah, I've seen and I've heard like something I could think of, just off the top of my head, is every time you make a goal from your whatever sport you're currently using, having getting a brief effect for your character. So maybe for baseball, every time you make a quote unquote home run hit, which would whatever could be hitting a boss weak point, or a hitting a object in the environment, your character gets a speed boost to emulate, oh, got your home run, now run the bases. But it stacks, so if you get a bunch of home runs in a row, you can stack a speed boost. and that can lead to secret areas because you have the speed boost. Your jump will also be farther. So there's an area that's like, oh, you couldn't reach this normally, but you got a bunch of home runs, and then you charge at this place and jump over, and look at that secret area, cool stuff. Or basketball, you do a little celebratory extra jump, which seems just like, oh, that's just an aesthetic thing, but then you realize, wait a minute, there's a platform out of reach, but there's a basketball hoop over here. Make a shot, then jump before it goes in, get that extra little boost, and then you make it up to the tall platform. uh, some ideas
Okay.
of how that could potentially work. But yeah, I don't know how you would integrate soccer. You kick harder.
Yeah, there would definitely have to be weapons that either just simply slowly chip the boss's health down, and then some where you have to use precision to get chunks off. Kind of like how parrying works in Dark Souls, where if you actually nail a parry, you do significant damage because it actually requires timing.
I
Um,
could see that honestly with like soccer or even baseball, having something like as you are hitting the boss, the ball starts to ricochet back at you, but faster and faster. And but your damage will ramp up as you are continuing the like the juggle or the volley or whatever. So if you are, oh, that would actually be really good for volleyball. Sorry, you have good. That's a good game design idea. There's a lot of stuff you could do with it.
oh
I am
yes.
not a game designer.
I
There's my credentials.
For football, I would want to make football a really fun mechanic. So I was thinking, whenever you throw the football, it's powerful enough to go through the boss, and then but you have to run to the other side of the boss and catch it for it to inflict more damage on the boss.
That would actually be really interesting
Mm-hmm.
because then being able to change sports, throw the football, swap to baseball, get a home run, use the speed boost, get to the other side, dive, grab, or use the speed boost. You see that the football's about to go away, shoot a basket, jump in the air, grab the football, and oh my goodness, crazy stuff happens.
Oh man, and the better you do, the more people gather around the gather around the clap for you, but they can get killed by the boss. Thank you for listening to this podcast clip. If you want to watch more of the podcast, the full podcast is in the link in the description, along with my guest channel name. And if you would like to guest in a future podcast, please contact me and we shall talk so we can discuss many, many topics, more to come. Other than that, have a glorious day.